The Capital One Lounge opened last year here in Denver, and it's had plenty of time to settle in, so I'm going to show you pretty much everything inside this much-hyped lounge. What's good, guys? I'm Dave, and this video isn't sponsored. This is my home airport and a lounge that I visit often, so I'll cover the good, the not so good, and show you how to get a little bit more out of the lounge too. It's a pretty great perk if you're looking at the VentureX credit card and you live in Denver like I do, because it gets you in every time you fly out. You can also get in a couple times a year with the standard Capital One Venture card. I usually travel with my family, so the lounge makes the card and its annual fee make a little bit more sense for us. There are a ton of great videos on the VentureX card, so I'm going to keep this video solely focused on the lounge itself. Let's head to the Capital One Lounge at Denver International Airport. Overall, the Capital One Lounge is nice, a very solid B+ all around. But it has its flaws, including a glaring one that a lot of locals expected them to change over time. I'll get into that later in the video. Also, almost everyone has a hard time finding this lounge the first time they visit, so I'll save you some time there. Like any lounge, you check in with your card and your boarding pass and you're good to head inside. You'll notice that it's not super luxurious, but it's very nice. The food is solid. There are plenty of drinks, snacks, pastries, and caffeine options everywhere. If you're cutting it close and you just need some quick grab-and-go options, all of that is right at check-in, so you can grab a drink and some snacks and be on your way and head right back down the escalator. It's super convenient. It has gotten a lot busier in the past few months as Capital One is really pushing the VentureX, but it's pretty easy to find a seat, especially if you're traveling solo. And there are a good number of places to work, whether you just need a phone room, a desk to take a video call, or a conference room if you're big time. Some airport lounges are mostly about lounging. This lounge is also good for working, and the internet speeds are solid for video calls. You'll see lots of tech people working and taking those video calls out in the open, breaking every rule in their company's security and privacy training, and in case anyone from work watches this video, I don't do that. Sometimes it takes a few attempts to get connected, but once you are, you're good to download a ton of shows off Netflix or do pretty much anything work-related. And you can tell from the clips that it's not really on that level of like a Chase Sapphire lounge, especially that new one in LaGuardia, which is just awesome. While it's not super luxurious or spacious inside, I think that most people would think that this is an above average lounge. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like so that the YouTube algorithm will show this to more travelers in Denver and beyond. I'm also going to make a YouTube short on that Chase Sapphire Lounge in New York City soon, so feel free to subscribe if you're into Denver things or you just want to see one of the best airport lounges in the United States. The staff there showed me things that most people never see inside that lounge, so it's gonna be good. Now back to the video. I usually make videos about Denver restaurants and things to do, so let's talk about the food. I haven't had breakfast here, but I've had the all-day menu enough times to really know it. The food is really good, and of course, it's all included with your entry to the lounge. Unlimited free food has a way of hitting different, even when it's on small plates like this. Compared to other airport lounges that you might have been to, it's nothing crazy, but it's also not something you'd ever complain about. They do have a menu that's posted online. Not everything will be there on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't change a whole lot. At least 50% of the items that you see on one visit will be there the next time you visit. If you want to eat a little bit lighter before your flight, there are salads, small plates, and veg-only options like this broccolini that I really like, and it's one of the better things that's regularly on the menu. If you want to feel more like you've had a full meal, there are often things like Sloppy Joe sliders and mac and cheese or something pretty close to it. If you're like me, you might do a little bit of all the above. The food is constantly restocked. The staff there works super hard to keep things clean and full. In general, there are at least a few kid-friendly options, which can be really helpful for families traveling with small kids that might be picky eaters. You won't have to grab McDonald's downstairs and bring it up to the lounge. Right when the lounge opened, we went there with our 3-year-old and he pretty much had acai bowls, mac and cheese, and croissants, and he was loving life, and I had them too. They were all really good. There's a fully stocked bar with a variety of special drinks and cocktails. At the bar, you can also get a non-alcoholic mocktail if the fountain drinks and water and sparkling waters aren't doing it for you. When you go around the lounge, you'll find that there are a few main seating areas. Most people's first pick would be to sit by the bar because there's a ton of natural light, you can watch the airplanes going by, and it's near the food and drinks. If you're here by yourself, snagging one of those rotating chairs by the windows is probably the move. Another great seat is sitting between the windows and the bar. That's usually where you'll find me if we're ever there at the same time. When you head around the corner, there's another seating area that overlooks the inside of the airport. The window seats go first here, especially for solo travelers, but if you're traveling with a group of 4 or you're traveling with small kids, this is probably your best bet to let everyone sit together. They also stash a high chair or two in the corner of this area, so if you're traveling with small kids, this can be really helpful, because you know it's an effing mess when they're eating in your lap. And wherever you sit in these two areas, there are plenty of plugs if you need to be on your laptop or charge up your phone before your flight. When you keep going around, there are these large, comfortable seats, similar to what you'd see at like a cool tech company or a library. They're great if you just want to sit and read, or maybe even take a quick nap. This is normally where you'll find the most tired people who probably took a red-eye to Denver, so maybe you'll take a nap there too one day. Less people come down this way because it's the furthest point from the food and the bathrooms, but you might want some you time before you're stuck in an airplane with 150 people for the next few hours. This is also where you're going to find the phone rooms, workstations, and conference rooms. Some of them are first come, first serve. You can reserve the large conference room for meetings, but in reality, I've seen a lot of large families reserve the room just so that they can have a place to plop all their stuff down and eat together. And before people say that's not okay, it absolutely happens on the business traveler side too, where one person reserves the room to have the whole room to themselves when they could absolutely just use a phone room or a workstation. It's like that guy who's eating solo but chooses to sit at a 4 or 6 person table in a very busy restaurant. That guy exists everywhere. Especially if you're delayed or you got to the airport early and you're on your own, you should consider booking a relaxation room when you check into the lounge. One of them has a nap pod and the other is a super zen room with a comfortable chair and bench that you could honestly sleep on. You can adjust the lighting, put on a nice eye mask, and totally zone out. Since I had a 4-hour delay the last time I was at the airport, I booked one of these relaxation rooms, popped on an eye mask, did a Peloton meditation. Shout out to Ross Rayburn. I've never felt so zen at the Denver airport in my life. The nap pod room is more popular, but these are both amenities of the lounge that most people don't think about asking to use, and they're pretty great. You can also book a shower when you check in. This can be awesome if you're on a long international layover or you've just had a long ass day. They're totally nice. They're not super luxurious like you might see in Asia, but absolutely this could be welcome for a lot of travelers. Okay, now let's talk about some small negatives, including one that I think at least 50% of people experience when going to this lounge for the first time. I'm gonna be honest, I was one of those people when the lounge first opened, so learn from my mistake. Like the website says, the lounge is in Concourse A, upstairs near Gate 34. Because we usually fly southwest out of Denver, we stop in Concourse A to hit the lounge, hang out there for a while, and give ourselves about 10 minutes to hop on the train and get to our gate before our flight. The main issue with finding the lounge is that there are a lot of generically labeled lounge signs in DIA that will tempt you to go upstairs before you're supposed to. As a result, people go up the wrong escalator thinking that you can just keep walking on the mezzanine level to get to Gate 34. You can't, so you have to take the escalator down and continue taking that walk to get all the way to the actual lounge. So keep walking until you hit Gate 34. The Capital One Lounge has its own escalator and elevator, and you'll know that you're there because there will probably be a buttload of Capital One Venture X ads all around you. Even if that's your only takeaway from this video, that will save you about 5 or 10 minutes, which can be very valuable when you're at the airport. Next, this was probably an accessibility requirement, but there's a bar mounted behind the toilet that the toilet seat hits when you try to open it, and notice that I said try to. Because of this, the toilet seat doesn't stay up, so for the men, you can either pee sitting down, hold the seat up with your least favorite finger, try to pee as fast as possible while the seat slowly descends, or you can show off your expert aim and just pee with the seat down. Honestly, the first one is probably the most reasonable, but a lot of dudes seem to choose the last one and just pee like they're at a Broncos game. And that kind of sucks for everyone. Every guy that I've talked to who has been to this lounge has mentioned that to me, and it's a real thing. It's especially unfortunate for the ladies who have to deal with this in other ways, and it leads to the bathrooms not being as clean as you might expect in an otherwise pretty nice facility. Obviously, they're still way nicer than the typical airport bathrooms, even the brand new ones in Concourse C, where everyone sitting in the airplane can see you washing your hands. It's kind of weird. Also, there's a family room located near the bathrooms, but it's not really a bathroom, nor is it really a kids area. It's more like a slightly bigger room with a changing table that looks nice inside, so it's absolutely better than changing a diaper in the airport bathroom, but a lot of airport lounges now have a kids area where they can play that might have some toys or some things to climb on, or a place where kids can just play with each other. This is not that kind of space. An effort was made and is appreciated, but don't expect to find a space where your kid can let out all their energy before the flight. Obviously, these are first world problems and we're all gonna be just fine, but no airport lounge is perfect, even though some get pretty close, and this one isn't either. Whether you're planning to hit the lounge for the first time the next time you're at the airport, or you're just doing some credit card research, I hope this video showed you what the Capital One Lounge is all about, and maybe I'll even catch you there when we're both at the airport. I make videos about living in Denver, local food, and other cities that I visit, and these are some videos that YouTube thinks that you might be into. As a small YouTuber, I have a stretch goal to get to 10,000 subscribers this year, so one click or tap can help get me closer to that goal. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on one of these videos or the next one.